Hey everybody, streaming live from the library, going solo today. You know, so I invite you all to come out and check me out. Um, I'm just gonna go through a few things because I realized that the winter season is approaching, and winter season is the best season to just really uh, get your planning ahead. Things die in the fall, right? Fall started and things begin to die away, and we have to have a plan, okay? And so I know that I run into a lot of um, seasonal depression, you know. So because I know that seasonal depression is real, I'm going to be just trying to make sure that I'm disciplining myself through the winter season. Hey, everybody that just checked in. Hey, Mom. Hey, Miss Dawn. Um, thinking about the fact that the fall season is coming, things die away, winter's approaching, and seasonal depression is very real. So for me, it's about making sure that I've disciplined myself through that season or in preparation for that season, because I think a lot of times we continue to push it. That season brings on a lot of stress. Sometimes you got to have stress relievers on hand. uh, Lucky Queen of Diamonds there. And for me, I think I just figured, hey, as we are really interested in trying to develop maturity in the community, trying to figure out plans for moving forward, let's just talk about how we could equip ourselves to be prepared for what's to come. Right. So for me, it's I already had done a lot of writing. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my writing. And, since I had already had that opportunity to be thinking about the things that I need in my life, I can then tap into, hey, what is it going to take based on what the winners before have revealed to me? What is it going to take to be free? Because depression, and even if it's seasonal, depression is bondage, right? It's having your mind, wrapped up with the things that you feel you can't change. And so, you want to be able to free yourself, and discipline, I found, is where that freedom can come in. So this was written, and you can find this writing on my blog page. The Path stands for the Holistic Engineering Education Path. So that's TheePath.wordpress.com. And so, as I had shifted into a new season, and thinking about how all the things that I had learned over the winter, I was like, hey, let me take a step back and reflect. And I'm pretty sure that this winter season will be a similar kind of reflection for you. I know that if you believe in that kind of thing, the retrograde just passed, and so that's always for me a very reflective point, in that opportunity for me to try to really figure out, well, what is it that I have going on? What could I be doing differently? What are the things that I see repeating themselves, and how can I do better? So, interestingly enough, this nail polish that I have on is part of me disciplining myself to just do the things that I remember liking. Like, I love paint. Paint is beautiful. Like, me and the girls love to paint. Trying to make sure that, if nothing else, making sure that in the budget, winter bills go up, heat has to go up. You may or may not be traveling a little more during this last quarter. So you got to be mindful of those things. But hey, finding deals. This nail polish was a steal. Finding deals that you can use to kind of push off costs, but also be doing the things that you really like to do. So, this nail polish is one of those things. But thinking about reflection, thinking about the things that I want to be able to do, thinking about how to engineer a life that I don't want to escape. I'm realizing that I have to be free from, you know, distractions, because the objective of trying to create a life you don't want to escape is being able to maybe not free yourself from the distractions, but understand how to manage in those, right? And so the key to success is having clear intention. And the reason that intention, kind of like energy, when it's put in motion, it stays in motion. So this idea of making sure that, as you enter into the winter season and things start dying away, and relationships might die away, money might start to fall by the wayside, because you're either gearing up for the holiday season. Some people spend a ton of money around this holiday, and it does lead to high stress levels. You want to make sure that your intentions are clear from the start. So that's definitely something to consider, and that I'm going to have to consider for myself. And so when I think about trying to create a community that I don't want to escape, right, I'm also trying to tap into the resources that are in the community, and thinking about what things are around me that would be helpful. Say, for instance, folks that are doing similar things that I like to do, right? I've been fortunate to be able to have really upstanding individuals around me that I can be learning from. And so, it's important for you to make sure that you're putting yourself around those people. If you realize that the people you around always are, just either bringing you down, or they always complaining, or they always running their mouth, they always mad about something, that's a distraction, right? And so you want to make sure that you are focusing on the things that are really important. The other thing, right? So number 2 on this list, and it's only a 8-point list, and I just have to, really think about, making these connections as an educator, making these connections to school and disciplines that we need to be teaching our children. I think that we need to be teaching our children physics first, right? And this idea of fluid dynamics, because if there's a bigger body of water and it's running, you have a little stream, the water from this little stream spread, right? So as it's the same with energy, it's the same with all of those things, waves, sound, things that have more space can spread out, right? And so you want to make sure that you're focusing your energy, because you want to make sure that you're writing down your intent early. So as this season approaches, as you're trying to figure out, hey, you know what, I just know I have to finish this year strong. Totally understand. Figure out what it is going to take to discipline yourself, right? The second thing, right? I know that over the years, we can, we learn about the things that we done incorrectly, and sometimes we can be really hard on ourselves. But what we have to free ourselves from, in addition to distractions, right? And we free ourselves from distractions by having a very clear intent, making sure that we know what our goals are, and making sure that we are trying to align ourselves with people and the energies and the activities that are, that will help with that dynamic, right? And making sure that the distractions are limited. But we want to also limit ourselves from any criticisms that isn't constructive, and that's especially from yourself, okay? Because we can be really hard on ourselves, and it's like, you know what, let's be honest, like, what you tell yourself matters, okay? Like, what's in your ears, what's going in your ears, whether it's the music you listen to, whether it's the people that you're around, and especially when it's the things that you tell yourself, right? And it's in your brain, on your mind, and what's on your mind, you end up living and acting out. And that's just how anatomy and genetics work, right? Like, again, as an educator, when we're thinking about the things that we should be teaching our kids, in addition to physics, so that they understand flow, so that they understand energy, how they understand how things interact, they have to understand the body, right? They have to understand that the things that they tell themselves about themselves are the things that they believe and come to live, right? So a man thinketh, right? So a woman thinketh. right? So all those things are really important. And just like any repetition, whether it's athletics, right, that leads to muscle reconstruction. Like you break it down to build it back up. And so it's really important that as you are trying to build brains for endurance, that you're telling yourself and you're doing affirmations, right? So if you look at my cover, my header, one of my best friends, the best friend in the world, he has that in his bathroom mirror. And so every day you have to wake up thinking about, how do I redefine and demonstrate refinement every single day, everything that I do, right? And so make sure that you're leaving out any criticisms of yourself that aren't constructive, because that'll lead you to just beating up on yourself, overthinking. It happens. I found myself over the last night, just ruminate. Everything was just over and over again. And it was just like, you know what? Let me paint my nails. And this ended up being the cutest color. This is Orly breathable, by the way. So if there's any Muslimas out there that are interested in trying to get halal paint that can allow air to flow so that there's contact and things like that, this Orly breathable is the way to go. And this color is TLC, and this lighting does no justice for it, honey. I love it. But anyway, you got to do the things you love to be able to keep it going, like to keep things fresh. The fall is coming, and I'm kind of just trying to address this idea of, hey, seasonal depression is very real, but depression is bondage, right? And I can't be bound by anything, right? And so in an effort to get to that freedom, I realized that it takes discipline. It takes writing some of those things down, because you've probably been really reflective lately. Over the last week, you're like, man, over the last maybe 4 weeks even, you've been like, dang, like, why, how am I in this place again? How am I going through this process again? How did I let them do that again? Right? You're very reflective, and don't waste that reflection. Make sure you're writing it down. Fortunately, these are things that I've written over the winters past, and I'm just going back to them. And sometimes it might take some time to get back to them, but make sure you get back to them. So you want to make sure, as you're trying to move through this final quarter, push, do what it takes, write down, be reflective, just leave yourself away from the distractions by making sure that you're around the right people, that you're telling yourself the right thing. Because again, criticism that's not constructive is not productive, and you're trying to make sure that you're training your brain to do the things the right way. And so you want to make sure that you're working that brain muscle by building it up with the right things and clearing it of any kind of toxins by eating right as well. The third thing, okay, in addition to those distractions that you want to get rid of and the criticisms that aren't constructive that you want to get rid of, you also want to bring yourself to a point where you are understanding any misunderstandings in your history, or that might be broken or disjointed. And so this can be this is probably the hard part, right? Like really thinking about, man, things that you have to leave behind is that any misunderstood, broken, or disjointed history. So just really thinking about, hey, how is it that the things that I've gone through, just realizing that they are impacted. How are they impacting me today, right? I have to always be honest about how I came up, even though I was very sheltered. But I also came up solo, like, and realizing that it impacts how you grow emotionally when it's only you that you have to deal with, and being able to interact with other people. And, even in school, I end up having to be very isolated and very reflective, because I just came up against, just conflict that I couldn't understand or process why it was even real. And so for me, my resort is always to be alone, just to do me. I love my music. I'm getting into, shuffling cards when I get real stressed. That's kind of my thing. But you want to be able to explore the familial interactions and networks as a tool to understand what was done historically, and understand what's the best way to align for your future success. Right. So, I mean, again, thinking about disciplines, because again, I'm trying to make sure that we're making this connection to academics, how we're redefining education, how we're thinking about how we can, what real reform is in our community. We have to be thinking, well, what would my ancestors do? You know, what would my mama do? What would my daddy do? What would what should I be considering given where I am at the time? For those folks that are up there in the cold for this winter, listen, y'all. Y'all have my love. I'm sending warmth. I'll be sending all the sun rays that I can from North Carolina to those cold, snowy places, and I'm hoping that I can keep the snow away from here. But you really, when thinking about where you are, like, I mean, I just am fortunate to have folks in my life that are connected and understand history. Just yesterday, we had a conversation with Corey G from the African American Caucus, and he was talking about the history of the Democrats and moving for issues related to issues in the Black community, and policies and things that of that nature that are related to folks that are in marginalized and sometimes often which are often melanated populations. So understanding that history is going to